Hi, Martin. Welcome to Drag and Drop.
Hi, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's when I came across your profile and that your experience and what you're doing at Valcon, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of hear it in a bit more detail, and kind of the things you're doing. It'd be good to start with, for those who don't know you and your background and a bit about you, it'd be good with a bit of introduction to yourself.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Maarten Nelissen. I'm 39 years old, and I lead the Valcon's low-code capability in the Netherlands. Within the Netherlands, we have about 130 low-code consultants working across Mendix, Power Platform, Appian, Pega, and UiPath. We also have about 35 consultants in Croatia who work closely together with. I have a background in engineering, chemical engineering, and IT advisory, and my focus is on how we can use technology to create a real business impact.
Okay, and obviously you've been in the low code space the last few years, and having a kind of technology background. When did you first even, a lot of people who come from traditional backgrounds usually can be a bit skeptical, when they
Yeah,
hear about low
yeah.
code. When did you first hear about any low code platform, and what was your kind of initial reaction to it?
Well, that's an interesting question. I actually I came across Mendix already in my previous company, in my previous role. We were building a platform for the engineering industry to do multidisciplinary design of complex systems like aircrafts or cars. We built that platform in Python with a JavaScript front end. And then at a certain moment, we came in talks with Mendix to see if we could build a platform in Mendix. In the end, there we chose to keep it within Python. But after a couple of years, I made a step towards Valcon, and that's when I actually came across Mendix again. I started developing Mendix applications for Valcon, for example, within Philips. At that time, even together with Mendix, with a team of Mendix people. And that's when I really got into low code. First, it was quite difficult for me because I was used to building high code applications, and I thought in Python, and I had to translate my thinking into low code. And obviously, some things which are possible within Python weren't possible within Mendix at that time. I really had to adapt, really had to get to know the platform and understand its strengths. And start thinking in Mendix instead of in Python. So in the beginning, it was a bit, I was a bit skeptic, but after some time, I became more and more a fan of low code. And I think now, almost 9 years later, the low code platforms are also way more mature than years ago. So I became more and more a fan during the years.
Yeah. And I think it's important what you said about obviously the mindset shift, right? Where obviously I think a lot of high code people, when they come in, they need to kind of not forget what they've done, but kind of change their mindset and their way of thinking. And if they're willing to do that, then they can kind of be successful. I think if they can't, they're just going to go back to high code.
Exactly. I agree with that. And if you can do that, then it's really successful. And it's similar if you're used to C# and you go to Python, then there are similar struggles. So there are similarities there as well.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned obviously you're managing multiple platforms, and all under kind of one unit. What was the driver behind kind of bringing it all together into one unit?
Yeah, I think this was for us a really important step towards our future. We saw that there was quite some duplication and silos within the teams. Obviously, when people call someone from the Mendix team, hey, we have a problem, can you solve it? Then the answer was, yes, we can. We can use Mendix for it. Or when they called someone from the Appian team, the answer was Appian. And we saw more and more that we wanted to be really a strategic advisor for our clients, really look at the business problem and see how we can best solve that. And each of these platforms, they are here for a reason. They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses as well. They all have their specific niche applications. And we really wanted to be an independent advisor for our clients. I think that makes us special in the market as well. Besides that, we also saw that these teams all, while it's all low code, they all had their own way of working. And there were some similarities, but there were also a lot of differences. And not always these teams were able to share their knowledge together and come up with a way of working that actually benefits both. So by joining all the platforms together in one unit, we want to create a single community. We want to have more best practices over the different platforms, have a shared delivery playbook, and improve our delivery strength.
Yeah, it's. I think what you said is spot on, because obviously what makes it's unique, right? Because most kind of consulting companies that I speak to, they pick one platform and they back that platform all the way, right? Whether a use case fits it or not, that's what they're going to sell you. That's what they're going to push. Do it in this, do it in this, do it in this, no matter
Yeah.
what. So that approach of you kind of, having a few options and just saying, look, we're not going to just throw it into a box. We're going to really analyze what you have and see what's the best platform, even on the customer side, must be, refreshing that, okay, they're not kind of just forcing one on us. They're open-minded.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course there are even more platforms than we are
Yeah.
offering, but at
Yeah.
least we have like a suite of tools in our baggage that we can use for these kind of solutions. And even sometimes it's not just one; it's a combination of tools which offer the best solution, and that's also fine. Sometimes there are tools available at the customer we want to integrate with. So we really look at the problem in a broad sense and try to come up with the best solution for them, which is not always only technical. It's also political, cultural. Maybe sometimes there is already a local platform available. Cost is always something to take into account. So yeah, we try to be agnostic there and support our customers in the best way forward.
Yeah. And, especially with when you're specializing in so many platforms and so many people I speak to, they'll say, and you kind of dealing with customers all the time. I'm interested to know, do you kind of still come across customers who, when you suggest all these platforms, they just think they're all the same, right? They're obviously all on the one magic quadrant as well. So a lot of people assume they all kind of give you the same solution. Do you still find there's customers who just, think it's all the same box? And, how do you kind of change that shift in their mindset as well?
Yeah, so for sure we see that customers still think that all local platforms are the same, that they all do the same thing, have the same limitations as well. And it's really in this approach, showing the customers what are the different platforms, what are the different strengths, not just by showing PowerPoint slides, but also by showing actual demos, actual things that are working, taking the customer by the hand and through the journey, and in that way guiding them in this decision.
Yeah. And do you find, obviously being in the Netherlands, and obviously, Mendix is a very big player, right? When you kind of talk about Mendix, do you just find that most business leaders already know of Mendix because that's its home and it's quite well known?
By now, it's quite well known, and
Yeah.
a lot of companies have at least taken a look at low code, at Mendix, at OutSystems, at Power Platform. But still, I come across companies that didn't even hear about low code, that are still either in a complete SaaS environment where everything is standard software, or in a complete high code environment where they make everything custom themselves. And I think still there's a lot of room for companies to introduce to low code and to see how low code can be like the best of both worlds. Can be in the middle of SaaS and high code.
Yeah. I find it really interesting when I speak to someone, especially now, and they've never heard of even just the term low code, right? I'm just like, where have you been hiding, for the last?
Yeah, but if you are in the low code space for a long time, maybe we're still a niche. If you look in the world, the market for SaaS and the market for software engineering is still bigger,
Huge,
much bigger than low code. So while we think maybe it's under what rock have you been living? They think, well, who are you guys?
Yeah. Where did you come from? Yeah. And you mentioned obviously you're leading a team of 130 people, which is obviously a large amount. How do you get these people who, obviously it's across multiple platforms, right? So how do you get them collaborating?
Yeah, so that's something we are now working on. So Of course, we are not yet that long organized in this way, but we really think that culture is key, and having the same values, facilitating working together. So we have regular days in the office where everyone from the unit is coming together. We show cross-platform demos. We have guilds for people with similar interests, like, for example, user experience or building custom components, come together and share knowledge and see how we can improve the way of working. That really helps a lot. More and more we now, especially in the beginning of new projects, of new clients, we combine teams from different platforms in order to help the customer in this journey, and that really helps as well. So we know who to call. We know where to search for the right knowledge, and we evaluate these workshops together to see, okay, how can we improve? And I think we more and more we know how to do that. So it's really facilitating this collaboration. In a few weeks, we have our yearly low code capability event, and then we also try to so beyond the professional, also try to get some personal interactions between the different capabilities, between the different platforms.
I'm interested to know, have you had someone who is working with one platform and they're working with the other one? And, have you had a situation where someone's like, actually, I prefer to now, I haven't seen this one before. I would actually switch to that one.
Yeah, so one of the things we want to promote, and not everyone should do that, because then it will be chaos.
Yeah, of course.
But we are promoting people who are aiming to become more like a low-code solution architect.
Yeah.
To switch technologies and to get some experience in another platform as well, to understand a bit what the differences are, maybe do a couple of projects in that that technology and build their career around it, to be able to give this advice to customers. Yeah, so that's happening.
Yeah. And talking about obviously people who can grow, what does kind of, personal development kind of look like in your teams? What could someone coming in expect for themselves?
And so we as a company, we really promote the T-shaped consultants. So all our consultants are trained in all aspects of a low-code lifecycle, from initiating, finding the right use cases, designing, developing, testing, training employees in using the software, but also training customers in building low-code themselves. So each step in the way, everyone has at least basic knowledge to support our clients. And we really like to work in a DevOps way, where you have less handovers. So every consultant within our team can support every task within the development cycle. But of course, each person has his own skills. Someone who's really good in building custom components in JavaScript or something like that might not be as good in building really pixel perfect user interfaces. So also within this team, we ensure that there are people with different spikes, with different specialisms, and we have learning paths for all of them. We have a quite extensive within Valcon with on-site trainings where people can follow trainings in performance, in security, in user experience, in architecture, software development, and we work with all our consultants to build a personal development plan and to help them in their career to go towards the next levels.
Great. And, I'm interested to know what was, you've kind of aligned all the delivery methods across platforms, right? So what was kind of the biggest challenge and the toughest part of actually doing that?
Yeah, I think the challenge is in balancing standardization and flexibility. Even though it's all low code, even though in the basics there are similar techniques behind it and similar way of working, they are still quite different. And I think the way we are trying to do it now is to have like a standard way of working, standard delivery playbook, standard tooling, standard reporting, standard way of doing project management, while still allowing for the freedom for each platform to adjust it in the way it's working within their platform. And this balance is, I think, the most delicate part of this standardization.
And, obviously with, the platforms you mentioned, Mendix seems to be, it's the highest kind of in all the kind of tables. It's right on the top right. What kind of makes you, and what type of projects, do you tend to lean towards Mendix versus, the other platforms where, obviously, I know about all the other platforms. A lot of people don't, right? But Mendix kind of, in my opinion, is a level above in regards to ceiling, so how do you evaluate that? Okay, Mendix is the way to go.
Yeah, so if you look at the general purpose low-code platforms and in the broader sense, then I agree with you that Mendix is balancing all parts quite well. Is capable of doing almost all use cases at a really quite a high level.
Yeah.
But if you look at, for example, Pega, it's much more a case management BPMN platform. They apply low-code, they have low-code capabilities, but they're focusing really on this niche for BPM workflows and case management workflows. Similar situation for Appian, which is a little bit closer towards Mendix than Pega systems, but there's a difference. And our platform is currently more focusing on the business workflows, the business applications. They are growing. They, of course, started a bit later in this low code, but they're growing really fast. So I'm sure they will catch up sooner or later. If you look at Mendix, it is really when customers apply low code in a strategic way. So if they really want to have a platform for multiple types of use cases, to really look at it as a platform where they want to build multiple apps supporting their business in all the ways they can and apply it strategically. So really saying, okay, we buy over model over build. Then I think Mendix is a really good platform. And also if you look at the enterprise grade custom applications with strong integration, and they really balance fast delivery and scalability in quite a good way.
And you mentioned obviously quite a few low code names that you specialize in. There's still others that you don't. Is there a reason why you've chosen the ones you have?
Yes. Of course, it's also a bit organically grown.
Okay.
But we really tried to have a palette of technologies which all have their own specialism and all have their own niche where they apply. And of course, we looked at where we see most potential in the market for these platforms. So, for example, that's also the reason why we chose not to do OutSystems. Too similar to Mendix. It's too overlapping. Then you get internal competition. And for the platforms we have right now, we really see that there's a place for each of them. And I think even within a single customer, you can have more than one of these platforms.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Have a right to live.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense because it doesn't make sense to be pitching two solutions which are very similar, right? And then for the customer, what value does that really add? Like you said, potentially, especially like you said, in most cases, you might end up using two, right? And I don't think there'll be a situation where they pick Mendix and OutSystems together as a solution.
I haven't seen it yet.
Me neither. No, exactly. And how do you ensure governance and reuse at scale across so many projects?
Yeah, so by now we have quite a big group of experienced people. We have a lot of reference customers. We build our knowledge over the years in all of these platforms. And we can reuse this knowledge. So we have quite a good idea on how to, for example, set up the governance of the client, set up a center of excellence, build an app factory. We have our own coding standards, which extend on top of the coding standards these platforms deliver. So we go one step further. We have internal app stores where we share components which we can reuse over clients. So in that way, we try to ensure that when new customers come in, we can hit the ground running. We bring in Q&A checklists, static code analysis tooling. And that helps us in doing it in the right way and reuse at scale.
And, obviously, we've managed to go 20 minutes without saying it, but, every conversation has the two letters AI involved, right? And I think if it's not, then a lot of people are kind of not interested at the moment, So I'd be interested to know kind of, where does AI fit in your low code delivery model now that, it's obviously a disruption, right? It's come in, businesses have to reevaluate what they're doing. How have you kind of, done things internally?
Yeah, I think AI is on the agenda of all of our clients and also all of our competitors. So of course we are also working hard to set up our strategy and to see how that fits with Valcon. And I think we are quite well organized to be a really big player in this field. And I think that's not just because we have experience in low code. Valcon is a much bigger company. We have about 1,700 people in Europe. We originally come from more the business consulting, operations consulting, management consulting industry. And so we have a lot of people who are really well equipped to do change management at customers, to help them in their organization setup, to work out all the processes around it. Besides that, we also have a data capability with a lot of data science engineers, AI engineers. We build our own models. And I think the strength is really when you combine all the three. So, and that's where we are currently working on. I think you hear in the market, vibe coding is coming, low code is done.
Yeah.
And I understand and I see, and I've also experienced myself that it's really powerful. But I think at this moment there's really a lot to gain by also using low code in combination with AI. Of course, you have the AI augmented development and using AI in your applications. And I think in both cases, low code is really powerful. If you look at AI augmented development, using a low-code platform, using AI to automate your low-code development speeds up low-code even faster because we have the model, because we have the fixed amount of options, and these options are individually working well because we have the platform around it to ensure quality, to ensure governance. I think it's much more difficult to make mistakes. And to ensure that what you're doing is actually what you wanted to do, or to validate what the model thought of is actually correct. So in that sense, AI benefits local development, but local development also benefits AI augmented development.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's very much like a rat race, right? Every platform is like, jumping on the AI train, and they're trying to kind of who's going to get there first, right? But things are kind of evolving so fast.
Yeah, for sure. And these vibe coding tools, they grow as well. So they get better and better, but low code is getting better and better as well. So I don't think that anytime soon low code will be gone. That on the augmented development. On the side of using AI, we see at a lot of our customers that they are currently working with proof of concept, small use cases, showing really big value on a really small scale. But when they try to put it in production or when they try to scale it up, it fails. Either because the end users don't know how to operate the model, or because there's too much hallucination in the model, resulting in only higher risks for the business. And I think if you combine it with application development, and then of course we use low-code development, you can build a structure around this model. You can ensure that the information is being collected from the end user in a structured way, ensuring the quality of the data, operating the model in a structured and a predefined way, ensuring that the output is of a high quality. And then again, also building compliance workflows around it. So building 4i principles, having multiple rules, checking the outcome of the model, using the output of one model via user interaction to send it to another model. These kind of workflows really easy to build in low-code applications, making AI much more powerful.
And and focusing on Mendix, what's your take on Mendix 11 is out, and obviously they have AI features and releases. What's your kind of what's your view on them, and what do you think about them?
Yeah, so it's a really positive step. It's of course really new, so I must admit that we're not yet applying it at a lot of our customers, because of course all these customers, they're still on the lower versions. They need to be convinced of upgrading to the newer version. But I think it was a necessary step as well. I think, like you said, it's a rat race, and Mendix must keep up as well. But I think it really accelerates the learning journey for juniors, but also facilitates seniors in doing their work even more efficiently. So it's nice. And I think, like I said, with these platforms, you have guardrails, you have the model behind it, you have the platform supporting you in your deployments, etc. In the end, I really think it's a really positive step towards the future.
I'm interested to know, this is a bit controversial, but do you, in your opinion on, obviously, I'm going to call it old school and new school, right? So old school developers have gone through the hard way of learning development, right? The long way, the frustrating way. The new school development, it's easy, right? So it's much easier. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's easier. It's quicker. Do you think, the new school developer can be as knowledgeable and experienced as an old school, knowing what the old school knows from all kind of, like obviously juniors now, they're going to come in and there's just so
Yeah.
much support, right? There's so
Yeah.
much they can
Yeah.
do versus
Yeah.
someone like yourself who's been through the hard yards, right?
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think we will in a few years we will see a gap where
Mm,
the older developers are slowly moving out, and the
yeah,
younger developers are not at the level as the people who learned developing before
yeah,
AI.
yeah,
And yes, I think the junior developers might be obsolete in a couple of years. But how do you train then the senior
yeah,
developers?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think we need to come up with a way of working where we still see room for junior developers learning the skill
mm,
and allowing them to make mistakes, allowing them to actually dive deep into coding problems, understanding what they're doing, debugging. I think it's really important skills also in the age of AI
yeah.
in order to check what's happening. You
Mm.
can't just rely on AI to do everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you touched on vibe coding and how things kind of are changing. Where do you see low code heading over the next few years?
A good question. Yeah, so maybe I touched upon a couple of things before already.
Yeah,
So I think also all these low-code platforms are building AI into their
yeah,
platform. So that becomes a bit of vibe coding as well.
mm,
And then it's a double multiplier, maybe
yeah,
that it becomes even faster. Like I said, a couple of these vibe coding platforms will probably catch up as well and
yeah,
become a real competitor
mm,
at a certain moment for the low code platforms. But I think there's much more than just the development aspect. It's also
yeah,
the enterprise ready platform to deploy the governance around it, the monitoring. It's not just development that makes low code. So in my opinion, yeah, I cannot foresee the far future, but in the near future there will only be more development. I will only grow further.
yeah. And the role of consultancies, right? The role of companies like Valcon, that also needs to change, obviously, because when you go into customers, they're seeing you as the expert who knows everything,
Yeah.
right? So how do you see your role as a consultancy evolving, with things going on?
Yeah, I think we are more and more moving away from just being the efficient hands and fast development, having the flexible layer around their own development teams. We are more and more moving towards being a trusted advisor, helping them uh, perform large scale digital transformation, being really a delivery partner for our customers. And that's what I see in the future. Knowledge becomes more and more valuable.
Interesting. And I haven't spoken to many customers or companies, sorry, who have these multi-platform, teams. What advice would you give to, without giving away your playbook? What advice would you give to companies considering, building, a multi-platform code unit?
Yeah, I would say be open for each other. Understand that it's not always your platform, the one you're promoting, that is the best solution. Be open to take a step back, to look at it from a bigger picture, to look at a use case broader than just the first four sentences you get from the end user. Really understand why is an end user asking for it? What is in front of the use case we are looking at? What is behind it? And really try to look at it from a holistic point of view and then see, okay, if I look at this bigger picture, what is then the best solution for my customer in terms of future proof? How fast can we deliver? How costly is it? What is the performance, security, and really look at it from a broader perspective. I think in the end, combining solutions, working in multi-platform setups, you get more value out of your.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm interested to know in this team, this 130, large team, like I said, what's been your kind of biggest leadership lesson during this transformation?
Yeah, I think it's probably everyone says that, but it's really about people. I can have an idea, I can have a vision, but in the end, it's the people who need to execute it, who need to understand it, who need to give me the details to actually execute our vision at our customers. It's not something you can force down on your people from a top-down perspective. You really need to build it together. And in the end, if you work together, you can get the best out of it.
And, obviously, you speak to obviously customers all the time. I'm interested to know, we spoke about everyone kind of talking about sometimes they feel they're all the same. The platforms are the same. Are there any other misconceptions that you come across, and how do you kind of deal with them?
Yeah, so I think a lot of customers still think that you cannot build business critical applications with low code. And how we convince them is by showing them use cases that are actually really business critical, proving them wrong just by showing, but also starting small and gaining trust and gaining experience and helping them in this journey. Yeah, the same accounts also for on the user experience side.
Yeah.
A lot of people still think that low code is really rigid and that you have to comply to certain UIs and certain widgets which are available. But I think the more mature low code platforms have a lot of possibilities to make it really pixel perfect and to almost all use cases have a really nice user experience.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you speaking to me, Martin. It was great to talk to you. And, like I said, I've not spoken to someone before who's kind of had a very, different approach to the consulting way. And it's great to hear the things you're doing. And, obviously it's a learning process for you as well, kind of going
Yeah, for
forward.
sure.
And I think maybe as things evolve and how things rapidly change, it'd be good to maybe speak again in the future and see,
Let's do that.
when your team is maybe 200 plus, who knows, right? So let's see. But I
We
really
go for that
appreciate you taking
next
the time.
year.
Yeah. Well, thank you again
Hey,
for your time. It was great to talk to you.
yeah, thank you for the invitation. I really liked it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Martin.